Hello everyone, Pontificator here. This video is actually going to be for the layperson. Got a lot of comments on a couple of platforms with people that have seen some of our videos, and they're asking, what's going on in the trucking industry? What are you talking about? I love trucking, I love truckers, but I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to try and explain it, and I'll try and keep it short because I know how short the attention span. Trust me, no one is more ADD than myself. For those of you that don't know, the trucking industry is quasi under attack. And the reason for that is this. There's a bunch of different things that have contributed to it. Maybe I'll make videos about that later. Right now, what's going on is you've got, let's call it 700,000 motor carriers that have 1 million, 2 million, 3 trucks, which means the majority of those motor carriers are people with 1 truck, 2 truck, 3 trucks, 4 or 5. And then it goes up from there. But then you have brokers. Now, 25, 30 years ago, I don't know what the number is, but let's say there were 50,000 brokers. Those brokers had to compete for our business, and they paid a decent wage, which is what the laws were set up. The laws are literally written to protect the trucking industry because the federal government knew when they wrote those laws that if the trucking industry fails, the entire country falls apart, and I mean in a matter of days. COVID is proof of that. There were a lot of things that happened during COVID around trucking that allowed us as an industry to continue to bring you everything that you needed. That video about the, I think it was UPS trucks that, or maybe it was Walmart trucks that all left with all the vaccines. Imagine if there were no trucks to do that. Now, instead of the vaccines, place every single thing that you consume every day into those trucks. Bread, milk, eggs, you name it. Your meats, everything goes into those trucks. The country would collapse. So what we have now, instead of having, I don't know, well, I'm going to give you numbers. These are not actual data, but this is an example. Instead of having 1.5 million trucks and 25,000 brokers, you now have 1 million trucks and 500,000 brokers. There was an old guy named Roy Leach that I met back in 1993. And he was an old country boy, or actually he was a hillbilly. And he cracked me up because he made a comment once. He said, when I told him I wanted to be an owner-operator, he said, 1 truck can't feed 2 mans. And I laughed at him. Here we are 35 years later, and that statement makes sense. 1 truck can feed the owner of that truck. 2 trucks can feed the owners of those trucks. Maybe 1 owner, 2 trucks, if he has another job. 3, 4, or 5 trucks, there's probably enough money left in there for the owner to manage all of that. What we have with these brokers now is there are so many brokers in this industry. It's ridiculous. Brokers and dispatch services are now actually double and triple and quadruple brokering freight from each other before it finally gets to the truck. So where you have a load that back in 2019 we were getting $3,000, $3,500 to haul a load, that exact same lane, and I checked it today because my dispatcher, one of my dispatchers was on vacation, so I had to help where I could. I booked 1 load this entire week because I absolutely refused to haul the freight at under our cost. Now I'm going to feel that at the end of the month. Actually, that's a lie. I'm feeling it now. My drivers sat. That sucks. Carriers, or rather shippers, are actually paying to have their freight hauled by a truck. What blows my mind is why they do not go to the truck. I know and understand that brokers go in and provide a convenience. If you are a shipper and if you need flatbed trucks for this and van trucks for this, that's the big box trailers, we call those vans, or if you need small packages shipped and so forth, they no longer have people on site to manage that. So you hire a broker. The broker says, I can do everything for you. Everything. I can't tell you the dangers that exist because of that. Actually, I can and I will, but not just yet. First, I want to finish explaining what's going on in the trucking industry. So we have all of these hands now reaching into the same pot of money that one person paid, intending for one person to haul. But now you have a broker in there that says, I want this much. And then you have the other guy that lies to that broker. If you're Landstar, they're not even lying. They don't care. And now they're taking this much. So the truck, by the time it gets down, there's only this much left for the truck. The bulk of that money is going to other people that have nothing to do with the transportation other than sending emails and making phone calls. Meanwhile, the trucks, like mine, they need tires. They need fuel. My drivers need amenities. If they break down, they need to be paid. If they are delayed at the shipper or the consignee, they need to be paid. When you have a direct relationship, that is all understood up front. When you're dealing with the brokers, they might be getting $75 or $100 an hour, but they say, we pay you $35 an hour. So they make money on our pain as well. Brokers are now bad for the trucking industry. Now let's go a little bit further. There are federal laws that regulate what brokers do. When brokers apply for their broker authority, they fill out a form that's called an OP1. On that form, which is the same form that motor carriers fill out, you have to agree to abide by all of the applicable laws at all levels of your operation. Federal, state, and city, township, whatever. So what's the first thing that brokers do? They say, hey, if you want to do business with us, you're going to waive your right to this, you're going to waive your right to this, and you're going to waive your right to this. One of those things is transparency. I'm not going to go into it, but if you Google trucking transparency, you will find thousands of articles explaining to you what that is. Now, everyone in the trucking industry already knows. So I want to tell you about another law that's a little bit, I'm sorry, my cat's doing something really weird. But in any case, I'm sorry about that. I want to tell you about another law that exists. And I apologize, I can't quote it here, but I'm going to put it right up here. That says that brokers will not in any way, what are you doing, weirdo? Brokers will not in any way, I forget what it says, evade or circumvent or create any rules or something that will allow them to bypass or prevent them from agreeing from the agreement that was previously made, which is agreeing to all of those laws. So, in order to get their authority, they have to agree to follow all of the applicable laws. There's a law that says you also will not circumvent any of those laws. And yet that's exactly what they're doing. And what they've done in the meantime is they've, to some degree, come in control, to a large degree, of the trucking industry. They now control the freight and the freight rates, the market rate for small carriers. The larger carriers don't have to deal with this as much. They use brokers on a minimal capacity and as minimal as possible, which is completely understood. But the truth is, if you've got 400, 500 trucks, You're hauling freight to all these different locations that you're not exposed to, and brokers are convenient. So I hope that explains to you, or at least gets you a basic understanding of where Carriers United, or at least the idea for Carriers United, was born. Because I know that if the trucking industry unites, here's the deal, and I've said this before, brokers cannot haul freight. Brokers have these and computers. They can't haul freight. Trucks haul freight. And if the trucks stick together all at the same time, the brokers have zero capacity because the carriers are the capacity. So if we all decide we're not hauling for brokers anymore, there will still be a need to brokers, because if you have one truck, you don't have time to handle all of the other stuff. But the difference between us and them, flat rate, guaranteed, no waivers whatsoever. We share all information. We encourage you to go out and get the freight directly where you can, and we will build a network that will support itself. CarriersUnited.com, everyone. For all of you out there, I hope this answers your questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. leander@oodcco.net. I will answer all questions unless they come in at 200 or 300 per day. Okay? But that's what's going on in the industry. I have been in it since 1992. I think I know a little bit about it, but I care more about trucks, trucking, and drivers than I do brokers. Brokers are nothing. Nothing. If you watch some of my TikTok videos, you'll see some of the arguments that I've had with brokers, and it will blow your mind. They steal money from carriers every chance they get. There's a certain company out there with a four-letter name. I'm not going to mention them. It starts with the letter R. I had a decent conversation with the vice president of some portion of their thing after one of my videos. And I will tell you, based on what the drivers responded with that didn't even know what company I was talking about, they have a systematic, I guess you could call it, I don't know, I guess it's a systematic theft of drivers. If you don't do this, or if you happen to see this, do this, or cough while you're doing this, we're going to keep $100 per each one of those. They tried that shit with me. It didn't fly. But they are doing it to other people every single day. These are the things that need to stop in trucking. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. If you watch the whole thing, please like it. I would enjoy it more if you would comment, or if you have any questions, please ask. I will try and answer every single one. But it is time for the trucking industry to unite together like the UAW does, except we're not charging union dues. And let's make this happen. Thank you very much.